What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Bull Season 1, Episode 2, The Woman in 8D. I really am enjoying the show, and the only reason I'm worried about that is because it feels quite a bit like Lie to Me in the way it's set up and how it's presented, the stuff that's going on, the psychological, analytical stuff, all of that. It feels a lot like Lie to Me, and I love that show. So I'm worried that my love for that show is kind of playing into this show, and I'm loving this show because of that. So let me talk about the things that I do like, and you guys can decide whether or not that I'm liking the show because of that. Or maybe it's because of Michael Weatherly. He's a good actor. Anyway, so we've got an interesting premise for this one. It's different than the first one. Like I said in my first review, I was a bit worried that if the show was trying to be a crime show, it failed in the first episode. You know, like the way they set up the crime, the way they set up the mystery, it was not at all well handled, and the way they ended it was even worse. You know, just not at all what I expect out of a crime show. This episode tells me it's not quite a crime show. It's more of a law show, a trial law show. And if that's the case, it's done fairly well for the first two episodes. We got some interesting setups. It's different than the first episode as well, so that's nice to see. It's nice that we didn't have, okay, you got a defense lawyer who is constantly pressing against him at every turn and, you know, having to try to work with him, trying to coach him. No, in this one we just got a defense lawyer who's like, you know what, you need to take the settlement or I'm out, and they end up, okay, you're out. And then the guy that works for them, whose name escapes me because I'm terrible with names, he ends up stepping in as her defense lawyer for this episode. And I like that. You know, it's different. It's not, let's try to work with this defense lawyer. No, her defense lawyer said, screw it, I'm done. And they're like, okay, now we have to have you be defense lawyer. And it changed it up a bit because now you got one of the members of the team having a chance for him to shine. And they do it very well, and I'll get to that in a second. But even this entire story is different than the first one, because the first one, it's a murder. It's got a high-profile case involved, so a ton of people are talking about it. And this one, it's a plane crash. And the pilot survives, and now she's being sued for negligence, and they have to prove that it wasn't negligence. Completely different scenario. There's no crime involved. There's no mystery to solve. It's just trying to prove that it wasn't her negligence. And I guess there is kind of a mystery in what happened, you know, up there. Why did it crash? All that stuff. They find out it's just wind shear. You know, there's no bad guy in this one. There's no right or wrong. What they ended up finding out, though, is that she actually was kind of a hero, because even though she didn't save the plane, she didn't save the people on the plane, she ended up holding up the plane for 5 more seconds, which kept the plane from running into a neighborhood and instead landed on an empty road where nobody else got hurt. So it's like, you know, even though there's no bad guy, even though there's no crime to solve, we find out something that is pretty cool. You know, like this woman saved more lives, and that ends up being the key to the case. And, you know, ultimately they end up with 2 more jurors that they have to get a hold of because they find out, you know, they're still not sold. And then, so now they turn to the guy who's the defense lawyer for this episode. And I'm going to have to look up his name because, just like I said in my NCIS review last episode, yeah, I'm terrible with names. And the internet is right here in the palm of my hand. So why not go ahead and look up his name? You know what I'm saying? If my internet would stop being so slow. Freddy Rodriguez is the name of the actor. Benny. I wanted to say Benny. I wanted to say something like Benin or something. So, yeah, Benny is the guy who is the defense lawyer for the firm. And he actually told us in this episode he used to be a prosecutor, so that's interesting that now he is a defense lawyer in this one. But yeah, he has a moment for himself to shine because he's trying to come up with a closing argument, and, you know, he's trying to figure it out. And ultimately the stylist guy, Chunk. What a name. He ends up coming up to him and starts talking to him about, you know, there's a room, back when I was in high school, there's a rumor that one of the guys on the football team was gay. So next practice, I knocked the quarterback flat on his butt, took him out for a whole week. None of the guys ever suspected that I was gay after that. I said, you know why? Because they never expected a gay guy could hit like that. And all of a sudden, it clicked in him like that needs to be my closing argument, except from the mindset of a woman, because that was the whole thing. It was the whole gender bias was the main thing for this episode. And it was nice to see that, Benny, he gets his time to shine, and Chunk, he gets his time to shine. Like they focused a bit more on the team in this episode and really what they can contribute to the case itself. And, obviously not taking away anything from Bull and what he does, but still showing that, yeah, he's got a good team behind him. So even if he's stuck on something, they can come up with the goods. And, that the girl Cable, I only know that because it's kind of a stupid name, but I'm looking past it for now. Maybe it'll grow on me, but yeah, Cable, and she's a hacker. Come on, like you could do better than that. Make that her alias or something. Like that's what she goes by is Cable. But to actually have it be her name, come on, that's stupid. Maybe it's not actually her name. Maybe I'm just judging a book too quickly. But anyway, she has a moment where they're stuck. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Who's sleeping with the co-pilot, what all happened, and she comes up with the goods in this episode because she's looking through the Twitter posts on some of the passengers before it crashed, which this must be like a really expensive plane because there were only 62 passengers, which means it had to be small, and they have Wi-Fi. This was a rich plane. But yeah, you see she looks up their Twitter stuff, finds out about this woman who's crying. Apparently her boyfriend broke up with her. Oh, her boyfriend was the co-pilot, so she's the one he was having an affair with. So it's nice to see that they can contribute stuff to sort of push the case along, push along the, we're trying to figure out what to do next. Oh, here's some information she just found. Boom, now we know what to do next. It really works well for the episode. It's a good little show. Still growing right now, I think. Second episode in and trying to judge it is very difficult, obviously. Like you can't judge a whole series based on the first two episodes. I mean, you look at Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow. Like those two obviously completely different shows, but Supergirl first two episodes were god awful. I thought it was going to be the worst show ever. And yeah, it hasn't got much better. But by the end of the season, I was like, okay, I can actually find some enjoyment in this. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Legends of Tomorrow started off very epic. I'm like, this is going to be one of the best shows ever. By the end of the season, it was still really good, but not nearly as good as I thought it was going to be when I watched it at the beginning. Like there's some things near the end I'm like, okay, that was kind of dumb. Like it's very hard to tell quite how a show is going to do just based on the first two episodes. But based on what I see so far, it seems like a show I'm really going to like. It seems like it's a show that is not going to make a lot of silly, stupid mistakes. And, maybe it could be the next long-running show on CBS, Who knows? Who knows where it's going to go? But for now, I'm really enjoying it. The characters are nice. Nice to watch, funny to see their interactions, stuff like that. Bull himself, Michael Weatherly, I feel like is a new character on this. Totally not Tony DiNozzo at all. I love seeing that. And it's got an interesting premise. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it, what they're going to take into account, for every episode. What are the things that you can do with trial law? There's so many things. Like what happens whenever they have a client and they're trying to find a way to get the jury on their side, and then halfway through they find evidence that shows, oh, they're actually guilty. Like, does morality win out? Do they sit there and say, well, you know what, we can't defend them. They're actually guilty. We can't get a guilty person off. We can't, does truth win out, or does the paycheck win out? That's what I'm interested to see, because that's kind of the question when it comes to trial law. Like, what do you do whenever you have to defend a guilty client? What do you do when you're trying to convict an innocent man? What do you do then? I hope they touch on that. I hope they have a few episodes where that's brought into question. And you've got some of them saying, "Look, we're being paid to do this. We have to do it. We have to do it. We have to try. We have to try to defend them, even though we know they're guilty." I want to see that more. I don't want it to be every single episode is like, "Oh, here's an innocent client, and we're gonna help them, and it's gonna be good. We're all gonna feel good about ourselves at the end of this." You shouldn't. The courts are very corrupt nowadays, in case you haven't noticed. So I'm interested to see where it's going to go from here. Very interesting concept they've got going so far, though. So a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Hopefully, you guys feel the same. If not, let me know down in the comment section below. What do you like or dislike about this show so far? What do you expect to see in the next few episodes? All that good stuff. Let me know. We can talk about it, discuss it. Leave a like and subscribe for future Bull reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. I'm tired. Peace out.